Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast. Welcome along for the Toulouse match review panel. Joining me for this one, Reese is on holiday again. Laurie, I think I've been swindled on Reese's contract because since he started on this podcast full time, he's been abroad twice.
I don't know how it's getting away with it, you know. I mean, he's sitting there getting a suntan in Turkey, and all this lot are sweltering over here. I mean, who's getting a better? I mean, I know it's nice, but you know, he's definitely getting a better bargain of the deal, isn't it?
He's never is. So joining me for this one is Laurie from Lorna's View. Hi, mate. Are you good?
Alan, yeah, not bad, mate. Nice and warm in this lovely weather in Leeds. You can't complain.
Beautiful. We've also got the returning Cameron. How are you, mate?
Very good.
Nice to have you back. Hat-trick appearance.
Woo! Do I get a hat-trick ball?
Yeah, your hat-trick ball's in the post. We'll pass it over. And coming live, returning again, another returning guest, live from Toulouse. It's Adam and Alan. How are you guys? Oh, we lost him.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, he's frozen. Well, we'll limp along.
The key as well.
You were the one, Adam. You were the star. Well, we'll limp along anyway, but Adam is coming live from Toulouse to give us a feel of how things are out there. I'll start with Cameron, if I can. Oh, hang on. Oh, we've lost Adam totally. We'll try and get Adam back. I'll start with Cameron if I can. Positives, Cameron. We start every match review with the positives. Obviously, we got beat in this one. Is there any positives Leeds can take from this one?
I think Rowan Smith was a very positive person after the game. Yeah. I think he's quite right. There's a lot of young players. You've got important minutes in a tough climate, playing as well, sort of on the back foot, which can only be sort of good experience for them moving forward. It's good to see, Jack Sinfield, Max Simpson getting a look in. And also Sam Walters at prop. That was the thing that excited me the most, was seeing him starting at prop, because I think that's where he should be playing. And I think if we put the right kind of time and investment into him in that position, he could actually go on to become a really good prop for us.
You think he'll work out there? Yeah. You think he could transition into a prop?
That's where I don't see him playing second row for Leeds moving forward. I know he said a while back, I think it was on Leeds Live with Matt Shaw, that he wanted to play a second row, but I just think his build is set for playing
massive,
prop.
Isn't it?
And he's massive. He's the second tallest player in Super League history after Corentin Lacam, who plays for.
Did you hear that, Reese? That's a proper stat.
Yeah. I'm sure that's true. I'm sorry if it's not, but I'm sure because he's 6'8", I believe.
No, do you know what it is? It doesn't matter if it's not true, because you said it with such conviction. It's one of those where you just believed it. We all just went, yeah.
I'm sure
that's right. That's right.
I'm sure it is true. I'm confident, but and also you look at the other options at second row, like Morgan Gannon and Reece Martin and James Bentley are here to stay. I think he and I just like watching him play it prop. Oh, Adam's back. Oh, he's coming back. Here he is.
Adam, welcome back.
Hi.
Can you hear us?
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay? Just we know that you're out in Toulouse, obviously, and still there. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. Just give us a feel for how you saw the game, how you saw us perform, and what it was like out there, what it is, with a lot of Rhinos fans, etc. Oh, we're struggling here, aren't we?
Oh, he's gone.
It's gone. We'll try him a third time in a moment. Laurie, positives from this one. Do you think what can Leeds take from yet another defeat? But a few youngsters playing.
Yeah, I think I know it sounds daft, but the actual youngsters playing was probably the biggest benefit. It was going to be a tough game. Let's be honest. We had word last weekend. We were up in Newcastle. Everyone going, "Have you seen we're forecast for Toulouse next weekend?" And it was like, what? And it was like 40 degrees. Everyone was like, oh. And it was kind of like that perception already. You're up against heat conditions, a team who were possibly sort of used to that environment in summer times and stuff. So it was always going to be a difficult task. But what made it worse, obviously, with a fair few players missing, it was always going to be difficult. But To be fair, it was only if you look at the scoreline. Yeah, no, it wasn't 20 points to 6. Bit unlucky, but I'm sure Adam will be able to tell us if he can hear us.
Are you there, Adam? No.
He's trying, bless him.
It's gone again. Right, we'll try him a fourth time.
His player hopes coming and going.
Cling on. One thing that we just touched on, or Cameron did there, about Sam Walters turning into a prop and making that transition into prop. We had Barry McDermott on the podcast this week. And for those who haven't heard it, Barry said that he didn't see Sam making that transition. I think Rowan Smith sees it that way. Do you agree with that? Sees that he's going to try and convert this kid into a prop. Barry said he prefers him on the edge and thinks that's where he'll get.
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, as much as quite close to being in the same position, they're not, are they, at the minute, especially nowadays. Yeah, I think it's almost like we basically. He's a youngster as well, and that's the thing. We can develop him, but I think he's that sort of player who's going to be. He's willing and wanting to learn as well, I think, by the looks of it. So I just think it's possibly a good idea for Smith to try him there. I mean, obviously Barry sees him possibly not doing that, but I don't know. Rowan seems to be doing this a little bit already. He seems to be changing things or looking at how players play. So it can all be a good thing, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think.
You see, you don't know. Sorry, Cameron, to nip in. You don't know if it's because you don't know if Rowan's playing him at prop because there's no one else. Because there just isn't, or because he's thinking, I see this kid as a prop going forward. So it could be a mixture of both. Don't you think, Cameron? How do you see it?
I think there is some validity in saying that there is limited options. But I think the very fact that in his first game in charge, Sam Walters, to me, was a bit of a surprise selection against Salford. I remember going, I didn't expect to see him in the team. So I think that instantly said to me that Rowan Smith has got a plan for Sam Walters. And, we've seen him sort of make interesting decisions on players like Brad Dwyer and other people. I don't think probably the weeks that come when we have props coming back will shed light on what Rowan Smith will do with Sam Walters. But I don't think he'd do it on, just out of desperation. I feel like there is something in decision to play in there. I mean, and there's precedent in rugby league history for great props starting as second rowers. One, of course, Jamie Peacock, who are, similarly really tall, kind of lanky figure. So I don't see what, there is precedent. But Barry obviously knows a lot more about playing prop at the highest level than I do. But I look at Sam Walters and I like his build. I like his tenacity. I like his stats in terms of his average gain. I mean, I don't know how the last two performances have impacted that, but the last time I looked, he had a better average gain than Mikolaj Aledski this season, which I think is a good indicator. So I just want to see. Well, I want to see him play, but I want to see him play. I'm coming for your job, Reese.
Oh, you've got it.
I think as well, if we're going to compare it to Mick as well, I think with Mick, he's been carrying an injury for most of the season, hasn't he? The rest of our forwards have had to step up, whether it be second rowers or props. So it's almost like, I know we're looking at the stats and going, they're doing this. We've had to do that, haven't we? Because we're literally, we've got a prop who gets suspended every other couple of weeks. I'm not even going to say his name. We know who. So it's almost like we're having to rely on these.
That's a good idea. Like is it Voldemort? Just don't mention his name ever again.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah, him who shall not be named. That's correct. In fact, that's how I'm going to refer to him as that now.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Give him a really silly nickname. Yeah. Carry on, sorry.
But if you look, it'll be interesting to see what the stats are like at the end of the season for our forwards, who has been the big meter gainer and everything like that. It's going to be an interesting one.
So we all agree, well, it's factual. We don't have any props. So Cameron, why didn't we play our new loan signing from Wakefield? Is it Yusuf Aidin? Why, if we're so short on props and this new player is available, why didn't Rowan give him game time? Seems mad to me.
I have no idea. And all I can think is there's a more sensible reason behind the scenes
there must
that we've not been made privy to. I watched the press conference and I was surprised that he never the subject was never broached, unless they've been told don't ask about Yusuf Aiden. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Because to me, fair enough, you didn't pick him in the first 17, but when Liam Sutcliffe dropped out, you'd think, all right, he's definitely going to be the next man up.
He has to come in, yeah.
He won. So to me, that surely there has to be something else, whether or not they didn't get him registered in time or something. It has to be a more sensible. Because why bring him in? Because after the Wigan game, he's going to be gone anyway.
Point. Yeah, well, exactly. We literally parachuted him in for 2 games. These were the 2 games, weren't they, Laurie? I mean, what's...
Well, me and a friend of mine were chatting last night about this whole situation. Maybe this whole 2 weeks, is it not a trial? Because we might be able to sign him up for free at the end of the season. So in theory, we're not going to show Wakey how good he is when he's playing. Maybe play him for a little 20-minute spell against Wigan, and let's see how he does in training. If he's working his backside off in training, the club might be thinking he's worth getting an out of contract signing at the end of the season. It might not be as daft as it sounds, and not. I know, I understand we needed a player, we needed this and the other, and I get that. But maybe under circumstances, we've got him in as a trial just to see what he's like, rather than being a loan deal.
I said when he arrived that he does actually fit the profile of player that Rowan Smith has said he's interested in, and the profile of player that I always said that I think Rowan Smith should be interested in as soon as he was appointed, because he's 21. He's a local lad as well. There's a chance to develop him. Now, I don't know whether or not he'll stay beyond the 2 weeks or if he'll come back at the end of the year or whatnot. But I do think there is a chance that we'll see, even if he doesn't play against Wigan, there's a chance that we'll see him play in 2023 in a lead shirt.
I do. I think if you think about it, again, the age thing is young. I mean, as a forward, you can do so much with a young forward, make him up to something else. So I know I've seen people going, who? Only other context. I mean, I did that who as well, yeah. There were Wakey fans going,
we all did.
Yeah, some Wakey fans were, we cannot believe we're letting him go because he's actually a really good kid, and he should be playing first team. And it's one of those players that you could actually be a really shrewd signing. It could be a Hetherington type signing, back from the old days when he'd signed somebody. So it's one of those where it's going to be intriguing to see how it goes. It could be a superstar. You never know.
Loads missing, obviously, from this one. Did you when the teams were announced, Laurie, and Sutcliffe dropped out with whatever it was, heat exhaustion or whatever it was, and then you saw the changes to the side. Did you expect anything? Did you expect Leeds to get anything from this game, Laurie, or were you shocked when we got beat?
No. I think obviously the conditions, like I said before, conditions are going to be appalling. Let's be honest, who would want to play in 40-degree heat rugby?
I've struggled sat in it today, and I've literally sat here in the. I haven't been out there.
As a ginger who loves warm weather, I won't want to be in 40-degree heat, let alone. So there was always in my head there was that shrewd thing of we could have been playing our best team, and we've seen it when we play Catalan when it's been roasting down in Perpignan. We played our best team and got beat. So it wasn't a shock, but the effort that we put in, I know there were quite a few errors and stuff, but the fact that we actually put an effort in, fair play. I see it as we've learned more than we've actually lost, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So
and every cloud as well,
we've had players rested.
Wakey got beat, didn't they? So
yeah,
we all want Wakey to go down, don't we? Everyone watching this, listening to this, we're all in agreement. So this result were for the greater good, don't you think, Cameron?
Maybe. I know a lot of Wakefield fans. In fact, a lot of my fiance's family are Wakefield fans. So I bet.
You're going to have to be very careful here.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day,
draw the line.
I'll make no apologies about what we're going to say. I'd rather Toulouse.
Here we go.
I'd rather Toulouse in Super League than Wakefield because
absolutely,
as much as Wakefield have got history in Super League, I just feel like the sport needs to expand and it needs to grow, and Toulouse have been a great addition to Super League. I've said it before and I'll say it again though. I feel like we should just keep the current 12 in, throw Liam Fev in, and have a 14-team league. That's
Go
been
from
my
there.
take all
Yeah.
season. Because Bevanley have shown that they are ambitious this year with the players they've signed and the movements they've made. They're both, I mean, obviously Fev have had a bit of a wobble, but they're both quite clearly basically a cut above the rest of the championship. And that's no disservice to the rest of the championship, which is a great league. They're a cut above. So throw both of them in the Super League, 14-team league, like it was in my favourite years, the Super League from 2009 to 2014. Play everyone twice, play one
Some
team
good
3
years.
times. Exactly, play one team 3 times
Good
because you play them
years.
at Magic Weekend. You've got. I always liked those seasons, and I just think we've got 14 very good teams, 14 Super League standard teams knocking around. So why don't we have 14 Super League teams?
It's the RFL, though, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's the RFL. I mean,
It's also
when
TV money, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you add 2 more teams in, that's 2 more people having a cut of the TV money, and the rest of the clubs aren't exactly going to be like, oh, yeah, you can have our TV money.
I like that voice. You speak of TV there. Obviously, this game, Leeds Toulouse, was not televised anywhere, not even internationally. There was nothing at all available. And then today, as we record this Sunday, there was 2 Super League games today, and neither of them were on telly either. Do you think perhaps they're missing a gap in the market here, Cameron? With obviously there's the women's football Euros on, and a bit of cricket and the Golf Open, but that was a nice slot, especially today, yesterday afternoon for our game, and we were nothing on to show some Super League. Do you think?
I feel like banging my head against the table because it's just so frustrating. Because it is a totally missed opportunity. And like, where's Thursday night games gone? Do you know? I've never really been a fan of Thursday night games. But the fact that
until they're not on Sky and you're like, where's the rugby league?
Guess what? We're back on it this week. Yeah,
it will be typical Leeds get the Thursday night gig.
It's not on Sky, you're like, what? There's no game.
I know.
And then when you go into the game, you're like, Thursday night games are so shit.
But like, we switched it to summer rugby, didn't we? All those years ago. And, you'd feel like one of the benefits of having summer rugby is it gets to this time of year, you're not going to have to compete with football. I mean, obviously, sometimes it'll be internationals. But for the most part, you're not going to have to compete with football. And you're not going to have to compete with rugby union. You should be able to have a bit of a monopoly over sports TV, and yet we don't. We should. To me, we should at least have 3 games on Sky a weekend, especially when one of those games is in France. I remember when every Catalan away game would be on TV. On Saturday, the Saturday at 5 o'clock. You still have your Thursday and Friday games, and then on Saturday, if Catalan were at home, is what I'm trying to say. You get the extra game. And I just feel like now that there's 2 French sides, you should really be able to have that 3rd game in France every week, because maybe they should alternate. It just doesn't seem
definitely
that hard.
more coverage, more rugby league on telly.
Yeah,
that's sort of one of the appealing things about having an additional French side in it, Laurie. The fact that they do get this kind of home separate TV coverage, which we can jump on. I mean, that's the biggest appeal. Well, one of, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, that's it. And let's be honest, Toulouse have actually got a rich history in rugby league anyway. So it's one of those things where it's like, we should be banging on about the fact that we've got Toulouse in this league. We should be showing their games. There should have been a bigger deal signed at the start of the year to show the games. Instead, there was a deal where a French broadcaster went, "Oh, we'll show both Catalan and Toulouse games, but not all of them." And you're thinking, get the. I mean, unfortunately, this is not Sky, so we can't really grumble at Sky for this. But you think the product RFL should have been
this time, Sky.
you've got away this time. We should have got the media out there saying, "Oh, RFL mates going, look, this is our product." The French people love it, and I don't know. Again, we've shot ourselves in the foot. We've got 2 clubs out there who coverage we don't. Well, I think the broadcasters got like 70%. Somebody might correct me on that, but they're not showing every game, and it's a tragedy that we can't see every game from over there. It's a bit sad.
Laurie, for those that are listening to this and not watching it, this podcast is wearing the amazing pink kit. I say the amazing pink kit until this game. It's a sad day, guys, that the pink kit's form has come to an end. This is where we need Reece to kind of step in and say, "Oh, this is how many points we scored in that pink kit." So is it now time to put the pink kit in the wardrobe and just wear the Borough kit for the rest of the year?
No, because this is our second best kit of the season, so we cannot do
I know
that.
Lauren likes that kit. What do you think of this pink kit, Cameron?
I'm a fan. You're outnumbered.
Lucky Lottie.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I got it. In fact, I nearly wore it for today. Instead of decided to wear it tomorrow, but I nearly wore it today. I wish I did now, and then it'd be me and Laurie in pink kits. But
The form in the pink kit, though, it was amazing, wasn't it? It just seemed to be the one that we battered teams in, and yet the looks ran out. To be honest, I'm pretty gutted because I feel like we're getting a bit of momentum, the pink kit thing, because I know
believed in it.
Yeah, Rob Oates and especially Rob Oates and Jamie Peacock in those videos that they do for the club, they picked up on it as well. So I feel like we're getting a bit of momentum going into it, but then obviously it's all gone.
But if I was in charge of what kits we wear, I would have worn the home kit yesterday because it wouldn't have clashed, would it? And then knowing all the players missing, you keep you're maintaining the prestige.
You maintain the pink momentum. You keep the pink machine going.
I'll tell you what, though, lads, in Newcastle last weekend, you could tell the Leeds fans they were either in this shirt or the Borough shirt. There was like a very thin line of who was wearing what, or a couple of people in home shirts. The official away shirt, I barely saw anybody in it. It's literally.
I don't think I've seen anyone in it. In fact, I forgot what it was last week. Last review. It's the grey one, isn't it? Like a grey.
I mean,
triangle.
I think I put the dampener on that when I got Bentley put on it straight away. I think that was my.
I got Caesar.
Oh, we both killed it.
So we can both put our hands up there and say,
"Sorry, fans, it's our fault."
Cameron promised us. That's why he made a lot pod promise, a bit like Laurie has, which we haven't forgot about. But that's a different matter. But Cameron,
it's not going to happen,
Cameron,
is it?
You were on. Was it the podcast just before we signed Hardacre?
Yeah.
And then what did you say? You said
I promised you. Funnily enough, it was the podcast just before we played Toulouse at home, I think. And there was the rumour going around about Zach Hardacre was sign for us, and I said if he signed for us, I'd get the pink kit with 33 Hardacre on it because I knew 33 was the next available number.
Yeah.
And then so I fulfilled the promise. I have got the pink shirt.
You did send proof. You did send the proof.
Yep. My prized possession now.
There you go. I mean, at least I think mine's safe now. I think for the year, if you remember what mine was. I don't think.
Yes,
I'll have to go to the tattoo artist.
I'm still clicking on for that tattoo appointment.
There's not a Rhinos tattoo this year, I don't think.
So obviously there was. I don't think it's been confirmed yet about Leeds signing Sangare. Has that been confirmed yet? Is that still a rumour? Not official yet.
He definitely came over and applauded us last week, shall we say?
He did, and I was going to ask Adam, because I've only seen the highlights, and it's hard to tell from that. I was going to give Adam for a bit of a scouting report on him again. I mean, I said this on Twitter, but we should have just signed him at half-time. Gary Everington were there. He was at the ground. He should have just gone in at half-time, knock on the door and said, right, we'll take him now. Here, take this shirt, son.
Get it on.
That's it. So clip from the back. Just pull it on. So it look obviously it's pretty much. It's not confirmed yet, but it's got a lot of solid sources that we are signing him. And then if we do, like Laurie and Cameron said, a bit of a trial with Yusuf Adin as well, that would be two props, kind of. That we have possibility of signing. Would we need an additional one above that, Laurie? Would you like another? Do you think we need 3 props?
You'd say yes. Obviously, with the amount of injuries that we seem to pick up every season.
Do you think we need 3? Do you think we need 3 props because of the quality of those two? For instance, if we didn't sign those two and we signed, a quality Australian, and a quality whoever, would you just need 2 quality, or do we need 3 decent? Does that make sense?
I get what you're meaning. I think it's a tough one because you don't know how well they're going to come across straight away, do we? Though that's the issue.
No.
You know, from let's be honest, one of these guys, if we do well, we'll say we sign them both. One of them could be an absolute stormer who ends up ripping the league apart.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I mean, we might not, but it's that thing, isn't it? If we sign a big Aussie, we could end up being in the man who shall not be named scenario, where we could end up having a player who's
Another dud.
Yeah, and it's kind of like we've got to be careful. So signing a player that's like half and half, you know, like who's amazing but not like a big name could actually work in our favour. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know. But who do you go for? That's the question. And Aussie's going to cost a lot at the minute, especially with the amount that they get paid in NRL. So it's a case of, do we go English, or how do we go for an Aussie, or do we
Luke
wait?
Thompson.
You know, yeah, or Tongan. You never know. So it's a tough one. I don't know.
How do you see it, Cameron?
I think Laurie makes a lot of good points. I think the thing that I would say about our recruitment for a long time is it feels like, and you can't really blame the club, it feels like they've gone for a quick fix. They've gone for, we're bringing marquee players in and they'll get us right back to being successful. You know, Conrad Orrell was brought in as a marquee player to get us to be successful. And I've got no ill feelings towards Conrad Orrell, but it didn't work, did it? You know, we won a Challenge Cup, but it didn't cement us back at the top. Trent Mirren the same, Zane Tetabana again. Do you know, these are players that are, you know, people are divided on all of them, I feel like. But they're players who had high profiles coming into the club, and performances aside, we've still not won Super League since 2017. To me, I said this when Rowan Smith came in, this has to be a long-term project. You know, a 5-year project. I mean, how long is his contract? Was it 3.5 years? Do you know, I said it was on that podcast actually when I made the promise about the Zach Ardacre shirt, because Rowan Smith had been announced that day as well. I said, in those 3.5 years, I don't think we'll have got to Old Trafford. I think by the end of those 3.5 years, that's when you want to be looking at getting back to Old Trafford. Because you can't rush it. I feel like we have tried to rush it and it's blown up in our faces. We said at the start of this season that it was supposed to be the end of the rebuild, but then
we did.
It's just
we did.
We just need.
We thought it was.
Honestly, we believed everything we said.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. You know, even as much as I think Aidan Caesar and Blake Austin have shown glimpses, especially recently, and I've really enjoyed watching Aidan Caesar's performances recently. They're short-term players because they're both over 30 anyway. I can't foresee Leeds winning a grand final with those two as the halfback pairing. In fact, fun fact for you, only one team has won the grand final with an Australian halfback pairing, an all-Australian halfback pairing. Every other grand final winner has had at least one English player in the house. So, historically speaking, it's Bradford, by the way.
Next year, boys. Next year. No, joke.
Was it Bradford? I was just
Bradford
could you see looking up in the distance and thinking, what a question. Well, who were that? Who were that?
I can't remember now. I looked it up. It was a long time ago. It was when our form was really starting to get shaky at the start of the season. I was just like, let's have a look at every grand final winning halfback combination. And I can't even think of who they are. It was someone like Emery Paul and somebody else. You know, it's like
who partnered Emery Paul, Ollie?
Good question. I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. Why am I thinking that?
Robbie was a fullback, wasn't he?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Who the hell, Pat? I cannot remember. I've drawn a complete blank.
Withers was.
I'm getting it up now.
All I remember is Valley Parade. That game at Valley Parade when Ben Walker had his best game for us in 2000.
According
his
to
only
Wikipedia, the Paul brothers started in the halves that day for Bradford, both of them with Michael.
So what the Paul, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only time in Super League history that a pair of Australian, a pair of non-British halfbacks have won the grand final.
So the proof's in the pudding there. Isn't it? The proof's there for all to see. When he should Danny Maguire again.
Yeah, definitely. So looping back to the start of the question, which was about props and not halfbacks.
Yeah.
My point is, you can go sign a big name from Australia or even England, and it's not guaranteed to work. You know, you need to invest long term in young players, in my opinion, and bringing in those two, plus maybe another, because I do feel like we do need another. is more of something that I'd be interested in, because in 5 years' time, those two might be maturing into, or at least one of them might be maturing into one of the best props in the league. And then Bob's your uncle, then you'll start competing. And that's why I think we need to look in all these places in halfbacks. You need to be looking at, well, who's the next halfback we're going to sign after, when these two contracts come to an end. It's got to be a young player who's got potential. Everywhere else, even fullback, I advocate for Zach Hardacre to get a new deal and stuff like that. But you need to be putting things into place to go, well, who's going to, you have to have your eye on players who are going to be reaching a good age by the time that these players are going to be moving on to come in.
But let's be honest, though, I think the club are already doing that. If you think, especially with Jack Sinfield, I think
exactly
they are literally got him primed. They're giving him bits of experience, whether occasional first team appearances. And that's exactly what we need to do.
The same with Matt Simpson as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's the case of just play them occasionally, get them used to it, because when the time comes, they need that experience. Yeah. As we say, we're not going to have Austin and Caesar forever, but if we have Sinfield, who knows how the game works on that level, and he's had a few games now in the Super League, he's ready to go. And I think the club are doing it. They're doing it more than what we realise already, I think.
Yeah. I think it needs to be a combination of players from the academy who the club feel like are going to be the ideal replacements, plus young players from other clubs, maybe even from abroad, if you can lure someone who's not getting a lot of game time from Australia in, and that's how you build your team.
Someone who's not getting a lot of game time in Australia, seamless transition again, thank you, is Oliver Gildart. We were linked with him for about, how long was that? 22 hours, something. Chore told us. Oliver Gildart's coming in for the rest of the year, and then he's got an NRL gig, so he's coming in for the rest of the year, and then around 20 hours later he said, Oliver Gildart is not coming to Leeds Rhinos. So we had a little flash. But obviously we have had rumours that Liam Sutcliffe is leaving. That was a rumour prior to the Gildart rumour. So then putting two and two together, it was like, now it makes sense that we're bringing Gildart in. So we're letting Sutcliffe go. If it was a choice, Laurie, I can't remember if I've asked you this, between Liam Sutcliffe and Oliver Gildart, who would you choose? Who would you like to see Leeds go with?
Sutcliffe, because he can tackle.
Cameron?
I mean, because of the nature of the deal, I'd stay Sutcliffe all day long, because what's the point in bringing in a centre?
That to me, would say, if we got rid of Sutcliffe, who I think's got at least 2 years left on his deal.
2024, his contract ends.
Yeah, to bring in Gildart parachute him in on a short term, that to me, I don't know how you two see it, I'll ask now, means that Leeds have got a centre for 2023, permanently, who we don't know who that is yet.
To which I would say, why are we wasting more cap space on signing an outside back? All right. Yeah. Or
we don't need him.
It can be a quarter spot. We don't know.
Yeah.
Why? Your quarter spots should be utilised for me in your halves, and your props. Right. We used a quarter spot for Conrad O'Rourke, which I feel like was not a smart move. I mean, centres can technically win your games, but what's going to win your title is your props, your middles, and your halfbacks, your spine. Right. That's where you need the majority of your cap ultimately needs to end up being spent there. And to me, Liam Sutcliffe's a sound centre who's probably not going to be on that much of your cap. You've already got Harry Newman there, who
Max Simpson, Levi Edwards.
Exactly. So why?
Reece Martin is a
exactly. Why would you waste? Why would you go out and make another centre signing, another outside back signing? Do you know they're the kind of signings that I feel like you make when you're winning? When you've just got close.
When you've got the luxury of saying, why don't we get another? Why don't we sign him?
Exactly. Why don't we? We've got the cap space to bring in a really good centre. Let's do it. That's the kind of luxury that you have when you're at the top. Like I think when we signed Marcus Bai,
those are the days.
Exactly.
We should talk about those days. It's so much better than this.
Exactly. In 2003, we'd obviously been very good, and we then had the luxury of going, "Oh, we'll bring Marcus Bai in because maybe you could."
Yeah, he's good. We'll have him.
Exactly.
Those were the days.
At least didn't
They
need
were
those
the days.
players,
Oh,
but
God.
they were in a position where they could just go, "Oh, we can do that, so we'll do it." We'll bolster it. But I feel like the situation we're in, centre is the last position I'd be looking to strengthen, and it's like with Daryl Alford as well. That rumor of signing him to come for next year, it might be a sound move. I've nothing ill feeling towards him. I just don't see why would you spend cap space on that position when you don't.
Especially when it's so rubbish as well. It's like
You say this. He had a blinder yesterday. I mean, I know you're against Warrington, but he actually had a blinder. I saw highlights last night and just went, "Oh, what?"
Yeah, played well.
Is he
He scored 2, didn't he? Or did he score an hat trick? He definitely scored 2, didn't he?
2, yeah, he got 2.
I remember. Another player that's left on loan is Jack Walker. He's gone to Hull. I asked on Twitter, well, I kind of said, that if it was a choice between the two, Zach or Jack, to me, it was a no-brainer. You'd just go with Jack Walker because, as I've said before, Hardaker's fine on a temporary, short-term deal, but not giving him time to blow up and, do whatever he's going to do is, for me, in an ideal situation. If you can prevent that, that's fine. So I'd just shake hands and say, blah, 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 see you later. So I'd keep Jack Walker rather than Zach Hardaker. How do you see it, Laurie? Would you prefer to keep Jack or Zach?
Right. I've said this before, and I've said it to you. Jack Walker has the talent. We know that. He does have the ability, although since he's come back this year, he has been a bit... But the issue that I have with him is he's so injury prone. It's almost like, for me, you run that risk no matter whenever you play him. Do we have somebody to cover him because he's going to get injured? That sounds harsh, and I know, I apologise, but it's almost like you almost have to cradle him. And when we announced that he wrote to Hull and there's also a possibility of a permanent deal, part of me went, do you know what? It might work out for him, that, because he'll get game time, he'll get fitter, but it's just we run that risk so many times. I mean, if you remember, we had that awful call between him and Ashton Golding, didn't we, originally? And
yes.
We're like, Golding go to Huddersfield. And let's be honest, Golding was a great player. I mean, he was another one who was a bit injury prone, but we stood by Jack Walker. And there was that point where Jack was going to go. He kind of said to the club, "Oh, NRL are after me, give me a new deal, etc." And we gave him a new deal. Has he been worth it? I don't know. It's one of those. It's a bit. I kind of feel like have we seen the best of him? No. Has he shown a glimpse of his potential? Very much so. But his injuries, the risk of him getting injuries all the time, just is it's too much of a risk for me.
Do you not think that he's worth another year to kind of say, right, and kind of speak with Jack and say, look, we are going to give you one more year we know you've got the skill and the potential, and, we're just going to see if your body can take it at this level. You think it's not worth to say, right, like an ultimatum as in Jack, right, we're going to try one more time. If it don't work out, then you can leave. Do you not think it's worth one more go?
Doesn't that almost put a negative spin on for the player? Because it's almost like saying to him, you've got to do this now. If you don't do it, you're out. And for me, that's putting a bit too much pressure on. And when you've got a player who's, without sounding harsh, injury prone, you're almost saying to him, you've got to do well. You must play in 90% of the games. He might not be able to do that. And for me, I'd rather, and it sounds harsh, people might disagree with me here, I'd rather have somebody that we know we don't have to wrap in cotton wool every couple of weeks.
Cameron, Jack or Zach?
Well, I think in terms of the one more year thing, I feel like that the answer to that is Jack Walker's, because I think it'll be ultimately his decision. Does he want to stay at Hull or does he want to come back to Leeds? Yeah. And the fullback situation at Leeds may play into his thinking, but Jake Connor's at Hull, so is he going to be the first choice fullback at Hull? Probably not. The big question for me, though, is, and I don't really want to answer it, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to pose the question and say that the club has committed.
He's after my job now.
Is Jack? Do the club see Jack Walker being Leeds' number one, not just for 2023, not just 2024, like for five years? Do the clubs still see him? Because there was a time when I bet they did. I bet there was a time when they thought he's going to be our fullback for 10 years as long as we can fend off NRL clubs. But do the clubs still see him as that? And does he still see himself as that? Because does he need a change of scenery to get his career back on track?
Well,
I can't see him being our fullback for the next 5 years. Sorry, mate.
No, go on.
I can't see him being our fullback, first choice fullback for the next 5 years. I can't. I just don't see the club doing it. I think they see it's too much of a risk.
And that's to me where your short-term players, Richie Myler is in his 30s, Zach Hardaker's getting on a bit. These two short-term players maybe make more sense, which sounds weird because I'm saying long-term projects, but that gives you the time and the space to find your actual long-term fullback who the club, who the club have faith in being the fullback for 5 to 10 years, which Walker might not be anymore because of his injuries. Because of those injuries, he's never been it. Every time he seems to improve, it seems like he gets another injury and he sort of goes backwards. It's like, I mean,
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, like he was a great young player when he came onto the scene, but every time he added something to his game, he seemed to get injured and then he'd come back and he'd lost that thing that he'd added to his game. I remember at the start of 2020, he finally seemed to be able to come out the back and had a good pair of hands to set up tries. In those first few games of 2020, he was doing that brilliantly. And then he came back after his injury. And obviously Richie Myler, that's the bit of fullback player that Richie Myler excels at. And it's like Jack had, because obviously you're going to have to spend so much time getting yourself back from injury. It's like when he came back, he'd lost that pass that he'd worked so hard to get. And then, then he didn't have the chance to get it back because he got injured again. And then he's come back and he's still, to me, doesn't seem to have that pass out the back, which is so important. I'm not saying that he can't develop it. I'm just saying that when he does develop it, is he going to wind up getting injured and then losing it again?
Well, from a business perspective as well, you've got one of your players who's earning quite a fair whack of money, who's not giving you the products that you're paying him for on the pitch because he's always injured. Now, I know it's a case of luck, and I'm not saying that he's getting injured on purpose, but if you're thinking from a business perspective, we've got a player there who's, we've got a salary cap where we might be quite close to it. We've got a player who's taking a bit of money who's we're not getting the most out of. You kind of feel like the club might just say, look, that cap space can be used somewhere else. So it might not be a case of well, Jack, we like you. It might be a case of you're not giving us our full money's worth, which sounds harsh, but in our salary cap spot, you have to do, don't you? It's a tough call.
And Jack's got to make a decision for himself and go,
well, exactly.
Am I going at Leeds? Am I going to develop into the player that I know I can be? Because let's be honest, when he burst onto the scene, he looked like he was going to be
awesome.
The next great fullback. And though he might still be a really great fullback, it's just a case of he's got to decide, and the club's got to decide if Leeds is the right place for him. Because after so many injuries, he must be sick and tired of the situation. He must be sick and tired of that treatment room at Kirkstall. Yeah, exactly. So he might just go, do you know what? I need to change the scenery, and who could blame him? And it might be just one of them where it just works for everybody.
All fans are excited about him, so I was talking to some old fans that I met last week, and they're really excited for him because they know how good a talent he is. But it's like I said to them, you've just got to make sure if he picks up or not.
Keep him on the pitch. Yeah. Keep him on your pitch. Keep him on the pitch. You've got a player, but I think Cameron's absolutely right. I mean, Jack's got to make a decision himself now, hasn't he, on what he wants and whether he fits us. But make no mistake, when he's playing, he's a great player. I mean, he was picking up some decent form before his injury this year. And but again, if he might not sign for loan, that's only a loan, but he's not going to get in over Jake Connor. So, and I think Jake Connor wants to have that fullback role.
Yeah,
he wanted that number one, and he's got it. He didn't want to play in the centre, didn't want to play in the halves. So, does Walker, if he were to sign for Hull, does he have the ability to play in the halves or at centre or wing? I wouldn't. To me, he is one of these players that is just at one position. That's his speciality. Do you think he could transform into a half, Laurie, or a centre?
But are we that sure O'Connor's going to be at Hull? Because there's rumours he's going to NRL. So is there a case of that?
Right.
There is a possibility.
Oh, it could be a knock
so
on effect then.
So our Hull already
This
thinking.
is trial. Oh my god, it's all making sense.
Yeah, so are they already thinking we'll we'll get him on in our cap already? We're going to work off that, and then if O'Connor does go to NRL, which has been rumoured, it's they've already covered all their bases there. So there is a chance that. I mean, Hull won't want to get rid of O'Connor, but I've heard rumours of Canberra and a few other places.
Yeah, Canberra's the one.
Yeah, so I mean, let's be honest, Canberra or Hull. I think I know where I'd rather live. So yeah, I don't think the choice.
Baghdad or Hull. Baghdad.
Yeah, I think that's the fair call. Yeah.
Another thing though on the Jake Connor situation is, even if he ain't going this year, there's always going to be, when you've got a player like him, there's always going to be the suspicion that his head might get turned. He might want to go to the NRL at some stage, or he's partial to a suspension. He's our Jake. He'd fit right in at Leeds.
I'd have him at Leeds. Oh, in a heartbeat. Would I? Oh my god, yes.
So,
in a heartbeat.
Having Jack, it's whether or not Jack wants to become the new Jamie Shaw, because obviously Jamie Shaw was a fantastic fullback who I thought very highly of when he burst onto the scene.
Yeah,
and he's obviously become second fiddle to Jake Connor at fullback because of a long-term injury that he suffered in 2020. Just Jack, Jack's got to potentially go. I might have to become the next Jamie Shaw at all and become that.
Dream big, Jack.
Which is not that big. Which is not really where Jack should be, but it's just where he's ended up because of these injuries, and it's a rotten shame. But it's up to him to turn his career around and stay fit and prove how good he can be, because he can be exceptional.
Yeah, prove it to us, Jack. No matter where you are, show us all just how good you are.
I won't have any ill feeling to him if he left. I want him to do well. He's one of them.
I would. Very similar to, like Laurie said. Sorry to nip in. But Ashton Golding, even now, when Huddersfield play, when Jamaica, I'm like, Ash, go for it. Show us what you've got, because he just didn't, for whatever reason, he didn't fit at Leeds, and we had Walker, so his opportunities. Exactly. I would feel exactly the same about Jack Walker or any other young, like the lads that have gone to Cass, Jack Broadbent. I want Jack, because I've been a big Jack Broadbent fan on this podcast from day dot, really, to say how, I think he's a really good player. Hopefully he goes and shows us just how good he is. It's just one of those where it just doesn't fit. It's not the right time, and he wants to play, doesn't it? So I'd feel exactly the same way. Should Jack? I'd be a bit gutted if Jack did leave, but
it's one of them, isn't it? In an ideal world, I'd like Zach and Jack at the club.
Jack, and Jack, all three of them.
I'd have Jack Broadbent back as well. He played at fullback.
We also had some news. Was it yesterday? Was it today? That this is slightly off topic. England news that Victor Radley, the loose forward for the Roosters, who was in, I think I'm 99% sure he was in the New South Wales squad for Origin.
He didn't play, but he was.
But he didn't get picked. So he's this decent pedigree there. Now he has admitted after Origin that he'd put his hand up. He wants to play for England. Are you a fan, Cameron, of kind of an Australian or whoever making themselves available for England? To me, I'll just nip in. To me, I think you choose the best players that are available for your country, because Australia do it. Yeah. Australia just say, as soon as a young kid looks half decent in lower grades, they just say, "Oh, right, tell him that he could play Origin, and he needs to be Australian if he's Fijian or from Papua New Guinea." They do it. They win everything. So to me, for instance, if Nathan Cleary said, "Oh yeah, my uncle been to Bridlington twice and he wanted to play for England," we'd all be like, "Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, do it." So are you all for it, Cameron, or are you against?
When Rangi Chase played for England, that I was like, this is so wrong. And a part of me still feels like it was wrong. Like he'd literally played against England for New Zealand Maori side the year before he played for England. And he played for the Exiles the year he played for England. Mm-hmm. And he got in just because he'd been living in England for a certain amount of time, I believe.
Yeah.
But once you've done that, I feel like, so what? You know, that's now the rules. You've set up the rules. So
what you're saying is we need to blame Rangi Chase.
Yeah, we'll blame Rangi.
Yes, blame Rangi for everything. Harsh but fair.
Agreed. Carry on, sorry.
So, you know,
I like this kid style.
once you know, we've got the international game has already gone down this avenue. You can't have a U-turn and go back. This is the hand we've been dealt, so why not exploit it to its fullest? This is also, you know, in Jackson Hastings eligible. You know, I'd be going, Jackson, do you want to play?
Sam Walker.
Exactly. If we can get Sam Walker to play, I'd be dead chuffed.
Yeah.
You know,
Laurie,
so,
how do you feel about it? Oh, sorry, Cameron. Go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say, so why wouldn't you play him?
Yeah, precisely. Laurie, how do you see it, mate?
I'm a bit confused. Like, I mean, would you fit in? Would he fit in? He's a great player, but does he? I mean, I was going to say, does he offer more than what we already have? And short answer is probably yes. But where does he fit in? And like, are we suddenly going to drop somebody who's been playing really well at loose forward? Are we suddenly going to go into that and then just go, oh, sorry, we're going to get an Aussie who's just volunteered because his dad likes Sheffield or wherever he's from? You know, that sort of mentality.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
I agree, but I kind of feel it's a bit like you're almost saying to the homegrown lads, sorry, guys, you know, there's this guy who's, you know, he's only been to England to...
Yeah, thanks for coming, you know, patting him on the head. Thanks for coming,
you know,
big boys are coming over now. I get that, yeah.
Yeah, he manages to stream Emmerdale every now and again, you know, he knows what Yorkshire is, you know, that sort of mentality. So I'm a bit like, part of me's, I'm going to be very 50-50 here. Yes, well done on putting your hand up, but can you just put it down so that we can see who else is there? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan, but if it means we could maybe win a World Cup, I'll take it, but I'd rather have...
the semis now.
Yeah.
Depends how good Samoa are, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Sam Walker put his hand up, pull it out.
Exactly. I'd rather have this caliber of player linked or rumoured, to be representing England, you know, like Victor Adelaide, Jackson Hastings, whoever the others are. Then remember, Chris McQueen, did he represent? And Chris Hyington and players like that who were just like over the hill and just
what are you doing, lads? Yeah.
No, we do not need them. But if they are, like Victor Radley, just being in the Origin side, that is the absolute pinnacle of the game. You know, there didn't even international games that'll get close to that quality. Essentially, Australia A versus Australia B, in it, you know, or two different. You know what I mean? So for him to be in that squad kind of proves just how good he is. So what I'm saying is, players of that caliber will take.
I agree, Lottie. No, I agree.
All the other little scragglers, no.
Yeah,
I agree with you there. You know, if they're not Origin only, I'll say.
But what we've got to look at very simply now. I mean, who do you replace? Realistically, let's look at it the other way, right? If we were to say England squad right now as loose forward, who do you pick?
Oh,
there you go.
What's that kid at Saints? Go on, Morgan Knowles. Morgan Knowles, probably.
But like, I mean, he's a young kid. You probably would actually pick him now. You're thinking of it like this. Why am I still?
Yeah, he's really good, Laurie.
This has been the biggest.
You know what we're doing now, aren't we? We're just slowly going to whittle it down. So Victor Radley don't even get in the squad.
I saw someone suggest yesterday that actually you put Morgan Knowles at loose forward, and because Victor Radley's versatility, because he can play anywhere in the back three and he can play it in nine, you put him on the bench and you can bring him on wherever you need. And it might actually, to be fair, it might work against one of Lottie's favourite players, because like if you're going to put him on the bench as a possible number 9, does that work against Cruz Leeming and some of the other English hookers vying for it?
Yeah, that's a good point, but I think.
Sorry, Lloyd, can you imagine the phone call between Sean Wayne? Hello, Victor, I've heard you're ready. Do you want to come and play?
Is that you, Victor?
Do you want to come down? I've got a training session at Wigan in a couple of weeks' time. Can you get on a flight? It would be the weirdest conversation trying to encourage.
I'm loving these Sean Wayne impressions.
I'll get you some Uncle Joe's.
Victor.
Yeah, it'll be magical,
Come on
wouldn't it?
over.
Yeah, it'll be one of those. I would love to hear it, and I bet it'd be like, I'm gonna actually just change my eligibility.
I'll be like, who's this? Sorry, who? Sean, who? I thought Wayne Bennett was the England manager. That's why I said I'd play. Oh, Wayne Bennett? No, Wayne Bennett's no longer. All right. Oh well. Victor, hello.
Victor.
Is that you, Victor? Is that you? Anyway,
by the way, why have you just suddenly turned into Brian Potter there? Like Brian Potter for about 20 seconds.
Those Sean Wayne impressions. There's no Reese today, as I've said previously. He's on holiday. If you do want any stats from the Toulouse v Leeds game, just follow Reese on Twitter at the Owl and Fleece. That's Reese. He's going to put the stats on there if they are already there now. So Reese isn't doing the Super League roundup. Laurie has very kindly jumped in and said he'll do the Super League roundup for us. So, Laurie, if you're ready, take it away, mate.
Yeah, no probs. Well, it's been a very interesting week this week in Super League. We'll start off with today's results. Wakefield, well, fair play to them, currently holding on to the bottom of the league. They took a lead against Hull KR and then proceeded to get absolutely battered.
Well played, Wakey.
Well played. You know,
For the greater good, thank you.
For the greater good of Super League. Yeah, they got beat 15-10 at the old second worst stadium in Hull.
They're seeing the bigger picture, you see, so they're doing it for the game.
Exactly. They're helping everybody out.
Agreed.
That's quite correct. The other result today, well, Catalans, they travelled to the mucky side of Salford, where they took the lead quite early on and then proceeded to get battered 32-6. I mean, could you imagine a bet on that? I mean, you'd have been like, print money. Right, yesterday we also saw Cast take a Wire.
Yes.
Never mind. Yeah, another 35 points to 22 loss.
Oh my God. Am I right in saying is that his first game back at Cass?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He got a nice welcome from his own fans at the end of the game. That was beautiful. On Friday night, we saw Wigan play Hull FC. Seven French, as he's now known today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
What he did there.
Yeah.
Matt Shaw just wrote that down.
Don't mention him. That's a 60 points to 0 victory for the Pie-Eaters, who then had their limelight taken away by a certain team from St Helens who destroyed Huddersfield 25-0 with 12 men. Oh, yeah. And they were crying about having a man sent off, which was also delightful. Elsewhere,
I think... go on, sorry.
No, after you, Chief. Go on.
I watched... Chief?
Yeah.
You can come back on, Laurie. You can definitely come back on. I watched the majority of Saints Huddersfield. And obviously, I think it was the week before that Huddersfield announced
Watson's new deal.
Watson, yeah. Thank you, Cameron. I've taken a while to get there. You were well within your eyes to jump in there because I was struggling. Watson's new deal, yes. And then obviously you get that new bounce, it's staying, blah, blah, blah. And then they were absolutely, I don't know if any of you watched it, but Huddersfield were absolutely pants.
But you know
completely pants.
They've got no lower hearing.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Lower hair, yeah.
The Don for Huddersfield. Says a lot. Right. So look, I've wrote down the play. Well, basically the league. I'll just go through how it's looking. The bottom of the league, Toulouse and Wakey both got 10 points.
For the greater good.
For the greater good. Then going for the playoffs, Cass are in 5th place with 20 points.
And they're rubbish Cass as well, aren't they?
Oh, they are terrible. Hull FC 6 with 18. And then there's 3 of us. Salford, Hull KR and us all on 16. So it's getting a bit tight.
Are we on 17 because we drew a game?
Flash scores and maybe have lied to me. I'm not going to lie to you. But
that's right. Push the blame.
Yeah. Sorry, Flash scores. Don't sue me for copyright.
I know it's even worse. We're on 15.
We're on 15. Oh my God.
Anyway, so going on to the championship very quickly. Dewsbury took a lead against the league.
Nice.
Would you believe it?
Lovely.
And then they got beat 60 points to 6. Never mind. Whitehaven got beat 24-46 to Fev. So those two are still, battling away.
Yeah.
Morley running away. But anyway, the other story was Bradford, who got beat by London. But a father and son duo made
unbelievable that.
Which the scary thing is, George Flanagan is 37, a year younger than me, and his 16-year-old son played for them.
Oh my God. We're getting old, Laurie. We are getting old. If we are officially, we're getting
And then obviously we talked about the NRL slightly. Queensland obviously won State of Origin, which I'm sure everybody's aware of. And then Penrith extended the lead. There
was someone just driving home from work now, I've saved it.
I know.
I didn't get the time last week. I just didn't get the time. I've been off social media.
It's been 5 days. It's been 5 days.
I've told my wife I'm getting home on Sunday night.
After been living in a nuclear bunker, because that's all I'm going to say if I've not read that result. So anyway, and NRL, for a quick brief mention, Penrith have extended their lead to 8 points in the ladder after an 18.
They look amazing, don't they? Yeah,
they are absolute class.
They look awesome.
Cowboys lost 12-26 to Cronulla yesterday. I apologise.
Yesterday,
so they made the gap a little bit more to Penrith. But that's the roundup. Thank
you very much. Awesome. Did you hear that roundup, Reese? That was everything. Super League. Championship, NRL, needs to up his game, especially with money I'm paying him. He's having 2 holidays and he don't even tell us championship result. Oh, yeah, up your game, man.
What can I say?
I kind of briefly touched on it there. Did you both see the microphone? What was his name? Who got sent off for Saints? Go on. Metalcia. Did you both see the sending off? What did you make of that?
Right call. Did
you agree with that one?
I mean, I hadn't seen it, but on principle,
I haven't seen it. Oh, go on then, Laurie. What did you make of it? Right call. Go on, sorry.
It was the right call. All the players have apparently been told from the start of the year, if there's a player injured, whether he's play acting or not, walk away and leave him alone. Don't pick him up because it could be a case of he's injured and he could make it worse, which we've seen players with broken necks, unfortunately, that sort of thing. So Metalcia, who was clearly, I can't remember what it was, who he tackled. He literally he got up and he could see player, and he could see he was injured or maybe faking injury. So he tried lifting him up by his shoulder. Or the shirt on his shoulder, and literally, it was like, "What are you doing, mate?" You can see that it looked as though he was wincing on the floor. So it wasn't exactly like I didn't think he was milking it. And then obviously, Kendall had word in his ear that he's picked him up. Literally, red card came out.
And then he was gone. Then, wasn't it? Yeah. As soon as he was like that, it's like, see you later.
I mean, we saw the Halifax player the other week get banned for 8 games for that. So
precisely.
So hopefully. The Super League, the match review panel will go, that's 8-game ban for you as well, but we'll see. Yep. He's wearing a Saints shirt.
I'm hoping so.
We'll get it overturned,
Like you say there, Laurie, that Levi's down injured. Only Levi knows
exactly
if he's play acting or he's injured. It's not Metalcia's job, or it's none of his concern at all whether Levi's injured or not, is it? It's got nothing to do with him. So for him to drag him up, and he would giving him some verbals as well. Yeah, I mean, he's a moron, complete moron. And I just think
it's like I've seen people as soon as it happened, I looked on Twitter and there were people going,
Me too,
well, why has he got sent off for that? Oh, it's disgrace. The game's gone mad. It's player welfare. That's what.
Of course it is.
If that guy's got like a broken rib or maybe a fractured rib, don't know. If he gets picked up, it could be a broken rib. It could be out for longer. And, things like that, or a broken neck, like we saw with Massimo Soy. It's
precisely.
It's a grown man mentality without sounding harsh. Sorry to people, but you've got to just leave them. If they want to roll around, leave them. Let them play act.
Yeah, just leave them.
Get the doctor on and they'll sort it out.
Yeah, we've got the green card. There's things in place. Just leave injured players. Hopefully now this happening. Yeah. I mean, we had Loris talk about player welfare there. I mean, I mentioned it again, another plug. We had Barry McDermott on the podcast this week. Available now. Go watch, go listen to it. And Barry said on that podcast with us about player welfare, and he couldn't believe that the Easter period still happens. It happened again, and all the things that the players did for us, playing
It's
handfuls of games, or during COVID and things like that. It's like even this year, the players were saying, I think it was Ryan Hall after the Easter period tweeted like, "We've done it again." To the RFL, he tweeted like, "Can we please stop this now?"
But we've got another one coming up as well. We've got another one coming up at the end of August when you think the playoffs are only down the road. Some of these players are going to effectively be playing like 2 games and then going possibly like Saints, for instance, or Wigan. Let's say Wigan players playing, they're going to be potentially playing on a Thursday, going then on the Monday, and then back into the final round of the season on the following weekend, and then on to the playoffs. Is that fair?
No. And it won't help the product. You want playoffs to be the best.
You're reading from my sheet.
And that will not help the product. If you've got tired players, it won't help the products. The thing that winds me up to no end is we don't even need those extra. We don't need those extra games because we have loop fixtures. So why didn't you just go? Let's just can the loop fixtures. But then you'll say to me, "Oh, but we've got so many games to fulfill in terms of TV. Then why don't you show more games per round like you could do?"
Or increase it to 14 teams.
Exactly, or increase it to 14 teams, and there you go. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
There's quite clearly ways around it that would make a lot more sense, and that we don't do. Especially this season. Just don't understand it. Loop fixtures, just get rid of them, and then don't force teams to play twice in 4 days.
I mean, we've got Huddersfield on the Thursday, Catalans away on the Monday, followed by Cass on the Saturday, and it's like that's madness, absolute madness. But
it's just useless.
At a World Cup end of the year,
exactly.
You kind of touched on it a little in your roundup there, Lauren. Thank you for that. About Darryl Powell losing at Cass yesterday as we record this. And am I right in saying he went over and spoke to the Warrington fans? First of all, what is he doing? There's a saying, I think it was Brian Clough or someone of that ilk who kind of said, if you start listening to the fans as a manager, you'll soon find yourself sat with them.
Yeah.
So do you think if this putting the Leeds Rhinos spin on it, I'd be saying the same thing if this were Rowan Smith or Richard Agar or Brian. I'd say, why are you doing that? First, it's just a recipe for disaster. The Wire fans coming over. It's a red hot day, beauty day. It's a big away trip for them. In that, they've got the weather. They're going to have the bevy. They've been battered. They do not. All he's going to get walking to them fans is abuse, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's just going to stand there and he's just going to shrug his shoulders and say, "I need more time. I need more time." It's like, I don't. How did you see it, Laurie? Do you think it's a good idea for coaches to be talking to fans who have, or do you think they should utilise their media outlets to kind of do it in a more professional way?
I think as well, I mean, slightly tangering off on this, slightly different angle. Warrington's problem is not just necessarily on the field. I think it's a cultural thing in the club, but that's another story, another time. But I think the other aspect is, for me, Powell just shot himself in the foot because you're literally going over hearing angry voices. Now, when you hear angry voices, how does that transfer to your players? You're going to go to your players and go, "Oh, the fans are saying this and this about you." You can imagine that changing room after the game just being horrendous because the tension, the anger, everything. Now, if he'd have just walked off the pitch and gone, "Look," you can see how he could quite easily said to his players, "Those fans are angry. Those fans are angry." Yeah. But the fact that he took the players over is almost, I think Ratchford had gone over. You can't do that. For me, if I was a coach, I'd be saying, well, I think I'd be thinking about what position I've actually got at the club because, but you just don't do that. You tell them to applaud the fans for good effort and then walk off. Just leave it. Don't do it. It makes no mental sense to me.
Cameron, how did you see it, mate?
To me, it seems counterproductive. It's like 1 second he's saying, we need a massive. One second he's saying we need a massive rebuild. It's going to take time. I'm going to put my stamp on the club, and he is doing that. Mike Cooper apparently going to go to Wigan immediately. He's a great player. I really rate him. I would have had him at Leeds. And other players, Jack Hughes, their captain, is going to leave. Do you know, he's doing a massive rebuild, and fair enough, probably needed it. Not because the players are all terrible, because they've got a lot of handy players at Warrington. It's just because the situation is becoming untenable. They've got players who have pedigree at previous clubs. Then you don't want to buy into,
and then they rock up to Wallington and the rubbish.
Have you seen the other side for next year though? It's like a who's who of NRL fodder, and it's just what are you signing? Like that guy from Canterbury, I can't remember his name. He's terrible. Yeah, I don't get
it.
It's
like he's saying all that, and then he's going to the fans. It's like he's being the hard man, saying, "Oh, we've got to make changes. You've got to just accept it." But then he's asking for their gratification, like he wants their It's just like be one or the other. Do you know, you've made your call. This season is now basically a write-off for you because you said this is not the squad that I want. The squad that I want is next year and maybe the year after. You've got to stick to your guns. And ultimately, I feel like it's partially the club's fault because I said this as well. Warrington branded his arrival as, he's going to make us win success.
He's the one.
Straight away. They were like, he's going to fix the problem. Steve Price was the problem, and Daryl Powell's going to come in and make us win straight away. It now transpires that Daryl Powell was coming in and going, all right, we need a rebuild, we need to change things. So brand it as that. Accept what the situation is and go, you should be excited because we're going on a journey. Instead they're like, we're finally going to win the grand final.
This is it. Yeah, we've got the team.
But this is
Daryl
Powell.
I feel like they just created this problem for themselves.
This is Daryl Powell, who, how many cup finals has he won?
Wallington knew what they were getting, a serial loser. I don't know why. They're surprised.
He's a lovely bloke, but it doesn't have that mental capability, I don't think, of getting his team over that final hurdle. We saw it at Leeds. We've seen it Cass. It just does not have that ability, and I don't know what it is. I'd love to see him do it, but he don't have it.
Yeah, he's not the person you bring in to win instantly. I feel like if he was ever going to
bring him to win,
if he was ever going to win a final, I feel like it would have been at Cass at the end of the.
He's never going to win a final. It'd be like, what's that? Is that a? Oh my God, it is. It's a flying pig. I'm dreaming.
Why has it got well done, Cass? Yeah.
Wake up down.
What the locals brought it.
Wake up down. You've wet the bed.
You see what I'm saying? He's not.
Yeah.
You don't. He's not Brian McDermott. You don't bring him in because he's a proven winner in grand finals and things, and you expect him to do the same at your club. Yeah. Like when we were linked with Sean Wayne, that would have been the philosophy behind bringing Sean Wayne to Leeds. Would have been he's won it lots at Wigan, he knows how to win. Daryl Powell's more of a person who you best bringing him in with a young players, sort of at Leeds, where it really, he got a real good tune out of Leeds and set the golden generation in motion. That's what you bring him in for. You don't bring him in to win straight away. Mind you, it does transpire that Warrington think themselves of projects. They just didn't outwardly say it, and I feel like that's why they've stirred up so much contempt for themselves.
I think just going back to him talking to the fans, not sure if you've both seen, but crossing to the other code, there's been a video yesterday of Eddie Jones getting loads of pelters from a fan in the crowd. It's all been filmed. I think Daryl Powell were playing with fire in that, those fans have been, I'm just the scene, it's a red hot day, you're at an away game and sat in beer gardens and chucking, loads of baby down your neck as you're entitled to do. But then when you lose, so I think you were lucky in that. I haven't seen any videos, but, there could have been a similar exchange there. And I just don't understand why.
It was he said to him.
Oh, there you go. I don't understand why he's kind of put himself in that position to be like, it's almost as if, I think it was Cam that said it, he wants to be loved by him. He's like, please, please give me a chance, give me time. It's like, just do your job. Don't be pleading to fans. The fans are forever. They're permanent. They're never going to change ever. You'll come and go. So just come, do your job, professional. You don't have to be pleading to him. I just thought he really put himself in the firing line. Do you think there's any? I think I've said this on every podcast this year. Do you think there's any chance, Cameron? I've probably asked Laurie, so I'll ask you, of Warrington sacking him?
They can't. They can't.
No.
This is the decision they've made. They have gone down.
Major
this
bed,
road.
Wellington.
Yeah, you can't. You
It's
can't
upset.
back. They've chosen to back the coach. That's the decision they've made. They've chosen to back the coach in this rebuild. You can't then go, oh, it's not going well instantly. We need to get rid of the coach.
Sack him.
So it would be counterproductive. It would go back against what they've done, what the decision that they made and how far they've got so far. They cannot sack him, and that's why people might call for it. People go, I can't believe he's not been sacked. That's why, because they've got to back either him or the squad, and they've already chosen to back him. They can't now back out of that.
Yeah, it's a good point. Right, to finish things off, we'll open the mailbag. This is the part of the podcast where we ask you for your questions as random or rugby league related, or tends to be
I've
food.
been thinking about that solo artist.
Yeah, it tends to be food or something weird, although the questions have been a little less random recently. We've got quite a few to get through, so thank you for sending them in. The first one is actually about that Barry McDermott podcast. Andy says, really love the Barry McDermott podcast. He really does love Leeds. He does, Andy. He absolutely loves us. He refers to the Rhinos as we. He has completely, he's just Leeds. He's engaged. He loves the club, and he was a fantastic guest. And Jacko, second question asked, are there going to be any other special podcasts with players or ex-players? I've asked loads. I keep saying it. I've asked loads. I've asked Callum Watkins, Joe Moon, Scott Donald, Keith Senior, just loads. So until they're on this podcast, you all know what the answer has been. Ryan says, why would we sign Oliver Gildart? He is pants. He can't even handle it in the NRL. I think we all agreed with that. Is he worth it permanently? Anybody? Does anyone? No.
If he was going to stay here beyond the end of the season, it might have been.
That'd be worth it.
It might have had some sense to it, but the fact that it would just be until the end of the year and then go back to the NRL, that doesn't do anything for Leeds. The only person who benefits from that is Oliver Gildart, who might fancy his chances of squeezing back into the England squad because he's playing regularly again.
Because it's getting regular game time. Yeah. No, it's rubbish. We agree. Next question is from Ian. Is it possible for Owen Smith to get us to a point as a club where we can play lots of youngsters and not miss a beat in the way that Sean Wayne did with his Wigan sides? Do you think that's something that Rowan Smith could do? I know we do have a lot of youngsters that have played this year, Cameron. Do you think we could, in a couple of years' time, be in a position under Rowan Smith where he is blooding through youngster after youngster and creating that conveyor belt similar to what Wigan had under Sean Wayne?
I think so. You've also got to understand that when Sean Wayne was doing it, there would always be some first-team players in there to provide a decent sort of not a spine, because they wouldn't necessarily always be playing in the spine, but like a skeleton where these young players would be able to flourish. Last night, you feel for Jack Sinfield and Max Simpson because they're playing in a team that has one specialist prop, a one lad who's trying to develop as a prop, who might be second row, and then no other props. Because I feel like
even though we had a prop available, but we didn't play.
I feel like that's the question that comes off the back of the defeat to Toulouse. I feel like if you'd have blooded those players in the team with, two actual props rather than just one,
that's a good idea.
You might have a different result. And moving forward, that's the kind of situation that you'd like to see. And I do think there's a lot of good talent, young talent in the first team squad. There's good talent in the academy and the reserve setup. I do feel like we could see people dropping in and out of games, like we said with Jack Sinfield earlier, giving them those opportunities to develop, and then hopefully they'll become the basis for a very successful Leeds team. I'm not going to call them the next golden generation because I don't think that's fair, but the basis for a very good Leeds team that can take us forward.
How do you see it, Loz?
I think it's a case of I think it's more of a case of we need to give the belief to Rowan Smith. Right? He needs to have that ability to say, "Look, I want to develop the squad, get these guys in working in the first team." I think it's a bit of he needs to work closely with the other areas of the club to get that going through, get that culture. The moment you get that culture going, there you go. But it's not a 1 year thing. It's not a 2 year thing. It needs to be bred, and it almost needs to be started the moment he walked through that door, which I think it probably has. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those that, to answer the question, yes, but it needs the club to back him if he wants to do that, which I think he does. I think that's his mindset. But yeah, it's one that the club have to operate on the same level as him.
I thought something that was fascinating in his press conference yesterday was he actually took more blame for the defeat than the players, saying that he needs to do a better job in preparing the squad to be able to play without his first choice halfbacks, which I appreciated. And I think it just hints towards his sort of holistic approach as a coach. You know, he's got a playing philosophy that doesn't just depend on the spine. It can go through the entire squad. And when you think of the successful Leeds teams of the past, although there was
I'd love to think of them on this podcast.
Yeah. But although there was an exceptional spine, you could see that every player in the squad fit nicely into the philosophy of the team. And I think that's something that Rowan's going to try to do, and he needs to do it with the first team and the academy and everything, so that it all has the same kind of chain.
I don't know. Whenever, like this year, we have had a lot of youngsters playing and kind of being blooded into the side. And whenever I see a side with a youngster or youngsters, I always feel like win, lose or draw, I feel proud, like, because they've got game time, because they've come through our academy. So if we were to blood more, you know, like keep churning them out as we are now and seeing more, to me that's fine. Even if the sides, you know, kind of even in similar form to what we've done this year, in that, you know, win a few, lose a few. If that side were blooding youngsters, I'd be like, no, this is it. The club have clearly got the philosophy of, no, we are going to give these boys a chance. You know, they're going to have 3, 4, 5 years till they get to a standard, and then there'll be others behind them, you know, making that same. But every time we, like, even like the result yesterday, the Toulouse game, you know, I think there weren't many that I saw on Twitter that were really annoyed with the loss. They were kind of more like, well, you know, in the situation, we had loads of players out and we had young kids out there, you know. So it's like whenever the youngsters play, I feel like they don't get as much stick as first teamers would, or like, you know, he who shall not be named does, or, you know, all the others. It's like they kind of get not a free pass, but more understanding of where they're at in the development. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's for the greater good.
The other point as well, like, I said this to my friend last night when I was listening to coverage. You think, like, Jack Sinfield is 17, right? And we were there going, oh, he's a youngster. We've got to wrap him up a little bit in cotton wool. Then you think, hang on a minute, Morgan Gannon's only a year older. And
you just forget about Morgan, don't you?
Yeah.
That is the biggest compliment.
Yeah.
Morgan Gannon was a youngster for about 2 games, wasn't he?
And now he's got that.
Morgan Gannon starting, you know, it's all right, yeah, great.
And yeah, that's it. And you're thinking, well, then I suddenly thought to myself, we should not be wrapping Jack Sinfield in cotton wool. Let's get him in. But it's almost like that.
Check his nappy off, smack him on the ass, go show us what you can do.
But it's that balance in it. And it's probably because of how we've handled certain situations where we have no players. So Morgan Gannon was suddenly gone, right, we're playing him. And now you think, I don't see him as a teenager. I'd see him as like one of our starting forwards.
The biggest compliment you can pay him is just a first team.
There you go. And that pretty much answers the question in reliability. If you get that player in, it develops that culture. There you go. Maybe.
The next question is from Tim. Tim's one of our regulars. Which current Super League player do you consider to be A, massively overrated, and B, massively underrated? I think I don't think enough is said. You two might disagree. You might agree about Johnny Lomax. I think Johnny Lomax is like a really high standard of player, and I think you might disagree. But I don't think Sky I just don't see enough about just how good Johnny Lomax is. So I would say he's underrated for me. Who's the most underrated, do you think, Cameron, player in the league?
I totally agree with you. I think I'm
Yeah,
going to try and
good.
with a different one, but I would say Johnny Lomax to me is St Helens equivalent of Kevin Sinfield. I don't think somehow people don't give Kevin Sinfield the credit that I think he deserves for the role that he played in what I think is the best Super League team of all time. People don't give Kevin Sinfield's boring. Kevin Sinfield could just kick. Guess what? His job is to kick for territory, so he does his job exceptionally well. The fact that you're going, oh, it's just a good kicker, that's because he's doing his job right. And Johnny Lomax is very much the same. I remember watching him. It was actually last season, 2021, against Huddersfield. And he did a pass and was just like, that's exactly what Kev used to do for Leeds. Yeah. And neither of them have won the Man of Steel somehow. And, both of them, consistently 7, 8 out of 10 every week. And somehow, because of that, they just don't seem to catch the eye. They just tie everything together for two of the best teams in Super League history. Can you come back to me, though? I want to come up with a different underrated player.
Well, it's Laurie's turn.
Yeah, so I'll come up with one after Laurie's.
I'm trying to really think of one. That sounds really harsh on all the Super League players, but I'm not keen on, I don't know. What's that whole car player had an absolute stormer last week?
Mikey Lewis.
Yeah. Unbelievable talent. And yet he doesn't get... he's starting to get talked about, but he's never been that player who everybody's raved about unless you're in the red side of Hull. And I just think he's just started to get that point where people are, like me, for instance, are seeing him for what he's worth. He's a really good player, and I don't think many in the game have really seen him come through that quickly, unless you're in red side of it.
Yeah, you can see a lot of Danny Maguire in Mikey Lewis, can't you? You can tell Danny's there, kind of saying, right.
Is that the first mention tonight?
Is it?
Second? Nah.
Second.
Within 5 minutes.
Where else did I mention him?
I was telling you about the fact that only once as an All-Australian halfback partnership won grand final, and first thing Lawton said was, bring Danny Maguire back.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so 2 mentions. You've done well tonight.
2 mentions, yeah. I didn't think I mentioned him on kind of last week's podcast or week before. I kind of tweeted and then straight up people were like, yeah, you did. You mentioned it. No, but going back to Michael Lewis, you can kind of, when I do watch Hull and he is playing, he'll do a dummy or a run, and I just think that's just Danny. That is literally a Danny Maguire playoff thing. Have you had enough time to think of another, Cameron? Is that filled the time for you?
I've managed to come up with 3. The first one is Elliot Minicella, who I think has turned into a great loose forward at OKR. Very skillful, would fit in nicely at Leeds and what our loose forwards do. The next one is Mikey Lewis's halfback partner, Rowan Milnes, who I also think has got massive potential.
Yeah.
He's also got the capability of conjuring something from nothing, but actually he's also got a really good territorial kicking game. Last year he played in the Hull derby and was basically the only natural halfback Hull had in that game, and he did exceptionally well and was unlucky to lose. But the one that I'm actually going to go for is Ben Garcia from Catalan. I think he's a great loose forward, tenacious. He's everything you want from a modern loose forward. He nearly lost his ear last week. Bless him.
He did. 20 stitches. Oh, my God.
Yeah. And look at Catalan today without him. Sounds like they had no sort of belly, no guts about them today. And it could largely be because of his absence and how much he does as their captain and as their leader. And obviously, Watt played much last week against Warrington because of the year situation. They're 2 of Catalan's worst defeats of the season, and they've come because of his injury. So I think he's a great player.
So that's the massively underrated part of Tim's question. Have either got a massively overrated player that comes to mind that's in Super League?
Hurl Aid.
You think so? Yeah.
A few players, but he stands above them.
Massively overrated. Let me think. Who does Sky was going about? I don't quite think is up there. I always think, well, maybe not these days, but I've said this loads of times as well, but I've never bought the hype with Mark Sneed, ever. I've just thought.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Never, ever. Yeah, I've never looked at him and thought, because sometimes, like, I've said this before as well, Sam Tompkins, Jake Connor, they're the type of players where you're like, you dislike them because they don't play for you. As soon as they put blue and amber on, you're just like, wow, what a signing that is, to get someone like that. But Mark Sneed, I was never kind of saying, oh, I'd love him to play in blue and amber. I was just like, I just didn't get it. I don't know. I know he's quite old. It's similar in a way with Luke Gale as well. Even in that year at Cass, when 2017, when they kind of they had a great year till the big dance, but we all know how that ended. But even Luke Gale, I mean, even his Leeds career, really. I mean, obviously he got a Challenge Cup, but the way he left the club and his tantrum and things, and I just thought, no, it's not for me. So probably Mark Sneed, but I know he's not up to much these days, and Luke Gale. But yeah, I think those two over the careers have been quite overrated. Has that given you enough time to think of anybody?
I'm going controversial. I'm going to pick a team.
Like that.
I'm going to pick a team and go St. Helens. I mean, obviously, I've got showered Johnny Lomaxi praise, and they are an exceptional team. But I do not for 1 second believe that they are the greatest Super League team ever. Like I've seen people.
I'm sure will tell you that every day.
I know. They're not. They're just they're simply not. And I think, it's not their fault, but I don't think they've had much to compete against over the last 3 or 4 years. I think that's shown by the fact that they've beat 3 different teams in grand finals, who then the following year have been nowhere near grand finals. Salford in 2019 didn't do well in 2020, so there's not a consistent challenger. Wigan went from going in the grand final in 2020 to being quite poor in 2021, and even Catalan this year. They're still a sound team, but they're not quite up there. And I think that indicates that they've not had a consistent challenger that's really been able to push them for the major honours. And they really they should have had a clean sweep at some stage. They've not won the treble. Now, obviously, I'll always bark on about, I think Leeds, and I'm biased, 07 to 09.
Feel free to talk about our glorious past. That's all we have.
I'll say that they're better than this three-peat team. Even if Saints win it 4 times in a row, I still think that's a better one, because we had to compete against one of the greatest St. Helens teams there ever was.
Absolutely.
Arguably better than this one. Whereas
definitely better than this one. Whereas
this team hasn't had much to compete against, and the proof would have then been the pudding. If they'd had their own arch nemesis, Saints and Leeds in that period were like Holmes and Moriarty. They don't have their there's a rabbit outside.
Leeds being Holmes, by the way.
yeah.
Leeds are never the bad guys in my mind.
Saints don't have
Leeds are always Batman or Captain America. The bad guys are like Wigan or the Joker.
So I just think
the bad boys.
I just think Saints. Sky talk a lot about St. Helens and how good they are, and they are very good. But I just feel
the reason Saints are good is because everyone else is rubbish. Laurie, most overrated player, Conrad Hurrell. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. It's a tough one, isn't it? When you start trying to compare players, I don't like doing it because, Conrad Hurrell. Yeah,
Conrad Hurrell. That's an easy one. The last question from Tim is: which household chore do the panel hate carrying out most? I do quite a lot. The only one I don't do at all is the washing of clothes. My wife has that on lockdown, and she's like, she loves all the fabric conditioners and everything smelling nice and blah blah blah. So that's when I don't do the washing. What's a household chore that you hate doing most, Cameron?
I can't stand hanging washing out as well. I'm a bit similar.
The
one that I do,
it's raining. You're thinking, you'll be out, and wife will say, "Oh, the washing's out," and I'm thinking, "Oh no, it's not good." Yeah. I don't mind, cleaning the toilet or the bathroom or vacuuming. I'll do all that, but no, not for me. Go on, so what are you saying?
But the one that I do that I actually hate is emptying bins. For some reason, that always falls to me, and it's disgusting.
You're
absolutely disgusting. I am the bin guy. It's absolutely disgusting.
Don't worry, I'm also the bin guy. Don't worry.
Yeah. Must be some about Rhinos fans.
Yeah, load of rubbish. I'm going off on a tangent here, but before we moved into the house we live in now, we had like a neighbour who put our wheelie bin, like on our drive, and his wheelie bin was like back to ours, all of them, all three. So whenever it was bin day, from the moment we moved in, he put his bin out and our bin out at the same time. Really nice. Nothing was ever said about it, ever. It was just like, it was called Dave. It puts the bin out. So we never ever did it ever. We put it back, and I put his back. It was like a deal that was never spoken of. Dave puts them out, and I bring them back. But then there was a day when Dave didn't put the bins out. Our bins didn't get emptied. And I felt like saying to him, "Whoa, Dave, what are you doing? You're never putting the bins out, or you are?" I was devastated. Like, got to wait 2 weeks for that to get emptied now.
I bet it was some harsh words said then, my friend.
Like, what's he doing? And you can't just suddenly stop. He could have passed us a little note through.
I'm not doing it
anymore. Taking your bin out anymore. You're taking the bins.
The kindness.
Anyway, that's another story. Laurie, any household chores you don't like doing?
Right, I can't go to it.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. I hate vacuuming. I don't have the best coordination ever, so I always end up getting tangled up. And it's not a good...
Vacuuming. There you go, Tim. I bet Tim wasn't expecting that much detail on that question. The next questions, plural, are from Laurie. Do you want to? Have you got these to hand, or do you want me to read them out?
No, you can go.
Right. What is one high? What is one high?
No, you too.
First question from Laurie? What is one hype you don't understand? Do you have something in mind for this, Loz?
Bubble tea. What is that?
What?
There you go. Bubble tea. Have you ever tried it?
What's that?
Oh, it's awful. Don't try it. Yeah.
Don't try it, Cameron.
I need to know what it is, though.
Look it up. It's basically like a cold drink with these like little balls in, and they're weird. Yeah.
It even looks gross, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's a hype I don't understand? Oh God. Let me think.
I thought this would get you.
It has. I don't like get. Do you know, like, again, I'm old. Anyone that's seen me now, I'm old. But you'll see like a group of lads or lasses, and they all like wear similar clothes. Do you know what I mean? So they'll all be wearing like black shorts and white trainers and a black coat, and they're all really. It's almost like they're coordinating. I think. I don't know. To me, it seems to be like a new. I don't remember dressing like that as a kid, like saying to me, I don't have to talk to each other, send each other Snapchat saying, "Are you wearing your blue shorts and white trainers and green hoodie?" Oh yeah, right. Go tell Stephanie to wear hers as well. I just think no. So I've never understood that. At all. That's a hype I don't. You got a hype you don't understand, Cameron?
Yeah, I'm gonna say. So I don't know if I've mentioned this on podcast before. I'm engaged, and my fiance's got two younger sisters who sort of at that the age of wearing coordinated clothes and.
Oh, have I? I've just slapped them off.
But I'm going to slag them even more because they and I gather this is something that happens quite a lot with people their age. They watch YouTube, and I love YouTube. I use it all the time. But like the people they watch on YouTube, I don't get. Like they'll watch these really badly acted sketches and stuff of things that'll never happen, or prank videos that are clearly staged and
fake,
stuff like that, and just like. It makes me cringe. It's like nails on a chalkboard. It's just like when it's on telly, because they stream it on telly, and I'm just like, this is tragic. What a society come to. Do you know, and these people make a lot of money on these videos, and I'm like, there's really talented. This is, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn. It's far better than that. And yet, there's far more talented and creative people who don't make that kind of money from much better content than these
like
people.
Us.
Yeah, like us, exactly like us.
And look at this content; it's free. Everything you've heard tonight and watched, completely free. You're welcome.
Those kind of things.
If anybody does want to sponsor the lot, please DM me.
£1. Will that do?
Yeah, I'll take anything, me and Reed. Yeah, just send it over. Don't matter. Second question from Loz. What presents will Reese have got for us for his 34th is it 34th? 35th?
Oh, I don't know.
Holiday this year. What would Reese bring back for us? What do you think, Loz? Do you think he'll
massive Danny Maguire 10-foot poster for you?
Oh yes. Yeah. Just like an I don't know. I feel like because I speak about him so much, I feel like I'm getting to like, that Alan Partridge stalker level where
you open your bedroom door and there's like a shrine.
I'll never open that door. You can't go in there. No way. I've got a little shrine and just pray to Danny.
Candles in the corners.
Third question from Laurie, our guest and co-host. Which game are we looking forward to most on Thursday, the men's or the women's game? Of course, it is a double header, isn't it? The women's.
There you go.
On Thursday, women kick off at 5:30, I believe. Probably the women because
we'll win it.
Well, they're better than the men for the start. So the wheelchair side. I'd say, are you both going to the game Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to watch the women's side before? Do you get time to get there with work and everything, Cameron?
I'll certainly be watching. Knowing my dad, because I go with my dad still. We'll get there. We could watch another game before the women's game. That's how early we get there.
That's how early you get there. See, Cameron's setting off in half an hour.
Exactly. So, but to answer the question, if Leeds had, if the men, sorry, it's not very nice to say Leeds, is it? Just if the men had the same 17 that we played against Hull, and we were going up against Wigan, I'd actually be really excited for that because I feel like, I'm not saying we would have won, but I feel like the rugby Rowan's got us playing, it could have been a really exciting and exhilarating contest between two attacking teams that I was buzzing to see. But people we're likely to have missing, Wigan are just going to blow us away, I think. So there you go. I'm going to say the women. But to be fair, I don't think Wigan's women are doing that great, even though it were a few years ago that they actually beat us in the grand final, much to my dismay, because we would have won the treble before St Helens then.
Yeah, would have won that one.
Grapes. But I feel like they've kind of dropped off a little bit, seeing their recent results. So I fancy that one to be like the inverse, a bit like the inverse of the men's game. Wigan are probably going to stuff the men, and the women are probably going to stuff Wigan. So
we'll see.
What about you, Loz? Which one are you looking forward to? Are you going to get to the women's game? Do you manage to get there that early?
Yeah, I'm finishing earlier on Thursday, so hopefully I'm going up to Headingley for a few before, and hopefully getting to at least watch majority of the first half, I hope. But yeah, the women's rugby league is so entertaining. It's really good quality. The quality level has grown so much over the last 4 or 5 years. And the product is absolutely exhilarating. So yeah, it's definitely worth fans. Get yourselves along. Get cheered on. They're absolutely amazing.
Watch a decent Rhinos side. That's all I'll say. Russell has asked us, oh God, I forgot about this question. If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done? Probably kidnapped Danny Maguire.
Yeah, that's yours. Yeah.
That was that wasn't my joke. That was Josh from Kimber who said that about just I asked my wife this. I said, someone's asked this, and she said she didn't really know, but she said probably, I don't know why, but she said thieving, like I'd pinched something or robbed something. And I'm like, what? So, what would your family assume you'd done if you'd been arrested? Have you any thoughts on that?
Crimes against fashion, I think. That's what Lottie would assume because of his disdain for the pink shirt.
I do collect rather extreme football shirts, so if they're more bonkers, I collect them. So probably,
crimes to fashion.
Crimes to fashion. Yeah.
Got my hands up. I've been guilty of that. Cameron, if you got arrested, what would your family assume you'd done?
Well, if you're kidnapping Danny Maguire, I feel like I'd probably have kidnapped Kevin Sinfield.
Yeah, we'll just kidnap them all.
Yeah,
force them to stay. Well, we'll kidnap them, keep them there until they stay. We will come out of retirement and finish the rest of the year. That to me sounds
deal.
Or at least create a clone of them.
We've got one.
My God! What a great idea! Just like continually just produce new members of the group forever. My God, that's such a good idea. It's a podcast in itself, isn't it? DNA and body parts.
That's worrying.
Six again, Bri from Six again. Question from Bri. With a game against New Zealand happening in October, that's obviously the Rhinos versus New Zealand, the warm-up. In your opinion, who's the best Kiwi to have ever played for the Rhinos? I think it's Brent Webb. Anyone?
I thought when I was going to say Brent Webb, I was like, oh, they're going to say like Kylie Lulu-Lauatiti, and I'm going to come in there with Brent Webb, but Lottie's already said Brent Webb. So,
isn't Brent Webb an Aussie though?
He technically is. He played for New Zealand, but he was born in Australia.
Ali Lauatiti then. Set your pick, Kylie, Ali, or Brent Webb. Have you got any memories of Ali Lauatiti? I mean, when he first came, it was just the signing of him was instant. Do you remember? It was just like, wow, what a signing! Who the hell's this guy? He was just wiping players out. He'd have ball in one hand. It looked like a little peanut, didn't it? In his hand, he'd flick it out the back. He'd score tries. I mean, is he the best second row we've had in Super League? Do you reckon, Ali Lau?
Gareth Ellis.
I was going to say Ellis, actually. Yeah, Ellis could.
Oh, you'd have them both, wouldn't you? The same team.
Well, yeah. Well, I always liked Ali off the bench. If I'm being brutally honest, I liked the defense is getting tired. Let's bring Ali on. But that might be a disservice to his form in 2004, which I don't really remember because I was too young. My main memories of Ali are like 2009 when it was a super sub.
Too many youngsters on this now, Lauren.
Well,
old men.
You know what's really bad is I remember his first game. I think it was against Salford at Headingley, and I remember I remember him getting to sign a program for me before game, and somewhere I've got it down here actually. And literally, I remember that game, and everyone as soon as he got the ball, everyone was like, "What?"
Who the hell? Yeah, unbelievable.
When he got signed, his reputation in Australia and New Zealand was a little bit shaky. There was a bit of a personal few things. Everyone thought he was just coming over for 6 months, make it a holiday, and he'd be buggering off.
Back over there.
How wrong could everybody be?
Second question from Brian.
2005.
You what, sorry?
Said he scored 5 tries against Wakefield in 2005.
2005, I mentioned that. Unbelievable. What a player. Second question from Brian. Speaking of Kiwis, which fruit do you avoid at all costs? Which fruit?
All of them.
All of them? Don't like fruit at all?
No, I've got like this thing that any fruit and the smell of fruit just makes me feel sick straight
Really?
away.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
what fruit don't I like?
That's a tough one.
I don't think...
Mangoes are weird. I don't get mangoes.
Oh, I love mango.
The taste is weird. Nah.
That's the only one. If I had to, I like them all, really, Brian. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably say bananas are the most boring.
Bananas at worst for me. They proper make me feel ill.
Really? Don't eat any fruit at all?
No, I've got like this thing. It literally, any fruit just makes me
gip.
Like it just makes me feel sick. Yeah, it just does straight away.
Excuse me. Next question from Tyler. Tyler's been asking us loads of music questions each week. This is Tyler's question this week. Last week, Tyler asked us, what did he ask us? Who's your favourite boy band and girl band? And James, one of our guests, said Wu-Tang Clan. Now I said I'm not having that at all because that's just
that's amazing.
To be quite frank, that one of the greatest rap groups ever. I'm not having it at all. And they were like, well, so me and Reese said to Tyler, because every time Tyler asks us a music question, this kind of happens. People will say, well, what about that or them? Or so we kind of said to Tyler, we need some solid ground rules in future. So Tyler said, I'm not having Wu-Tang Clan at all, Lottie. I agree with you. The ground rules will be applied in future. So Tyler's question this week on music is, who are your favourite solo female and male artists? I have one for both, actually. I didn't have a female one, but I thought of one. Female, someone new and now, I think it's Adele. I think I think she's absolutely awesome. I think she's one of those artists that is timeless in that she'll be unforgettable. You know, there'll be our kids and their kids, and you know, she's a legend musician. And another legend musician for my male is Bob Dylan, without doubt, easily my favourite male solo artist. Laurie, have you had time to think of two for us?
Men or male, Bruce Springsteen, legend, absolute hero. I love him to pieces.
Yeah.
And then the second, so for the women, the female, so I've got two. Toss up Taylor Swift. I do like Taylor Swift. Sorry,
really?
I get abused for that. And there's a British singer called Macy Peters who's coming up quite popular. She's just on the tour with Ed Sheeran at the minute. I've saw her years ago playing Hyde Park Book Club, which is literally just around the corner from Hyde Park Pub. She played there about 3 years ago, and now she's on the stadium tour with Ed Sheeran. She's really good. But yeah, they're
she'll be able to pick you out from the stadium. Oh, he's there.
I know, the ginger one.
Yeah. Cameron, have you got two for us? Male and female?
I'm still very... I feel like my answer is going to be very poor and not going to be very well received.
Well, we'll find out.
Because my taste of music is very much... I heard it on a TV show, and therefore I feel attached to it. You know, I don't tend to like follow specific artists and stuff. So I'm going to ask for my male artist. Am I allowed to choose Opera Man?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Opera Man.
This really is bad.
No offense, John.
Yeah, no offense, John.
And for female, I'll go Ariana Grande because she's quite good looking.
Yeah, I would say because you fancy it. Let's be honest, Laurie. We know why you chose Taylor Swift.
Music. I like her music, mate.
Yeah, go on.
I've not got a calendar. Yeah.
What's that going? Mandy asks us, "Hi guys, really enjoying the podcast. Here's a question for the mailbag. Who are your favourite comedian?" I think she means Who's your favourite comedian, Laurie?
Chris Ramsey.
Chris Ramsey. Cameron?
A fella called James Veach. He's not that well known, but his sense of humour and my sense of humour are the same. Basically, he got famous replying to spam emails, just taking the mick out of them, and then he just tell the stories about how these conversations went with these spam emails, and they're just legendary. So it's the kind of the crap that I do. So yeah.
My favourite is Richard Pryor, no longer with us, who were around in 70s and 80s for people as young as Cameron there. But yeah, really, really funny. Macaulay asks, why do you love Danny Maguire so much, Lottie? What?
Oh, he doesn't know, does he? He doesn't understand. It doesn't
I think he's young. I think he's really... But
what a player, yeah.
Exactly. I'm not the only one here. Obviously, I think he's the best to ever grace the whole sport and everything. Why don't we all love him, don't we? It was just Danny Maguire did everything. He scored in every big game we needed him to. He turned up and I just think the way
grand final, that winning try, that's all you need to
exactly do. Just scored. Just the. I know there were loads in that time.
I think something that's not spoken about enough is.
Go on, sorry. What were you saying, Cameron?
I'm having connection issues. Am I back now?
Yeah,
I was going to say, I think something that's overlooked in terms of Danny Maguire, something that I think is overlooked is I can't tell you how many, but I remember going back and counting up how many assists that he had in the grand finals as well. You know, he's obviously got 8 grand final tries, which is phenomenal. But the number of assists alongside that as well, it's just insane. Like you're talking like over 2 try involvements per grand final.
Yeah. It's just dynamite, Macaulay. I mean, I don't know that you can choose any of them, can't you? JP, Kev, Rob, you know, they're all there and they're all amazing. But yeah, I just felt like Danny, when it came to the big stage, he never shied away and just made, you know, like that 2017 final, he just made sure single-handedly that Kosovo were never, ever, ever, even in the dreams, going to win that game. So I just love him. Callum asks, I don't think it's this Callum, I think it's a different Callum. What's the best new film you have seen recently? I don't think I've seen any films recently. Not new. Anyone seen anything new recently that were good,
I
film-wise?
went to watch Thor: Love and Thunder the other day.
Well, that good?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What would you give it out of 10? 10 being awesome.
I'd say about 7, 8. It was really good.
That's just, there you go, Callum to Callum. Thor: Love and Thunder. I ain't seen it yet. I am looking forward to it. I do like the Marvel film. Have you seen anything recently, Laurie? Anything new?
No.
No, me neither. Me neither. Too bloody busy. Nathan asks, this question is a podcast in itself. We can't discuss this. If you were a billionaire, would you buy Super League and what changes would you make? That in itself is...
Save that. We'll save that. Yeah.
Nathan, that's a podcast. You know, next time there's no game and we've got a window, we need to... That is a podcast in itself, that, my friend. We can't... That's not a 2-minute answer, that, but we'll pick that up and we'll add it to the list of... podcast ideas. Charlie asks, will you use clips on TikTok for the podcast soon? Oh my God, Charlie.
No, you won't have a clue. I mean, no offense.
I'll try. Look, I haven't used clips anyway. It's something that I'm going to attempt to do as like a teaser for these video podcasts now, but I'll give it a go, Charlie, and no promises. Jeff asks us, who are your favourite non-rugby league and non-football sports stars? Have you guys had time to think of this question? Favourite sports stars?
I didn't realise it were non-football as well.
Non-football, non-rugby league. Well, mine, I say this all the time. I love cricket. India over here at the moment, playing England in every format. I love Jasprit Bumrah, the fast bowler. I think he's awesome. I think Johnny Bairstow's awesome. I really like Ben Stokes, obviously.
Joe Root and Ben Stokes.
So there's those three. Any other? I don't like golf. What else do I like? It's hard because it's usually, if it's not rugby league, it's football, isn't it? Any other sports stars that you two like?
For me, Josh Warrington.
Oh, of course, boxing. Oh my God.
Yeah. Lewis Hamilton, Aaron Rodgers, and possibly Bairstow as well, Johnny Bairstow for me. So I know that's not one I know for, but yeah.
Cameron, any for you?
I just go Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes.
I don't watch that much cricket, but I do like to stick it on every now and again. And
he's awesome.
He is. Some of the stuff that he's been able to do, just single-handedly, that in itself makes me go.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. England captain now as well. Next question from Mel. What are your future ideas for the podcast and what inspired you to start the podcast? Keep up the great work, Lottie and Reese and the regulars. I love what you do. Thanks, Mel. Future idea for the podcast. We just had one from Nathan, didn't we?
Yeah.
If we're billionaires, we will do that at some stage. The other ideas we've got are we are going to become a England podcast for the World Cup, and so we'll have some of our regulars on, like these two, reviewing England games and other games and kind of wrapping up the World Cup games for that week. So we're going to be doing that during the World Cup. Other podcasts we've kind of spoke about we're going to do another quiz. We did a quiz previously with can't remember who came on with it. Howard, myself, Maverick. Howard won that one. He wants to come back and defend his title. So we're going to do a quiz. We're going to do a draft. Laurie was part of the draft previously.
My team was amazing.
Yeah, we did the draft of greatest ever Super League team. We've also, someone asked us previously if we'd do an England one, a Super League one, rather than just Leeds. And then someone else said you could do an NRL one. So there's loads of different types of drafts we could do. And so we're going to do that as well. And we're going to keep pestering ex-players and current players to come and talk to us. But we've done, obviously we're doing the live streams now, the videos. We've done Twitter Spaces before where we were doing a watch along of a game and Laurie was at the game and jumped on. So we're always evolving and we're up to new, we always want to try new things. We don't just want to stagnate and become, just the same thing over and over and over. So yeah, new things coming, but yeah, who knows? Paula asks, have you ever been arrested? Any of you two been arrested before? And if so, do you want to tell us why?
Wow.
Have you ever been arrested? No, I have not.
No comment. No, I haven't.
I bet Cameron's never been arrested. Have we lost him? Or are you just thinking?
No.
I have been arrested. I'll
It's
tell you
very in
my
and out.
arrest. I'll tell you my arrest because I have officially been arrested, wrestled to the ground, handcuffs on my back, coppers' knees all over me. I was walking.
Danny Maguire's house.
Yeah. We told you about the restraining order. I was walking up where people that live in Leeds and know Leeds. There's Millennium Square. You kind of walk past, and then the City Museum's on the right. So I was walking up towards the Dry Dock pub. Anyone knows it's that boat pub outside the university. I'm going back years and years. I would do it about 1920, years and years ago. I was walking up there to meet some friends in the Dry Dock pub. It must have been about 10 o'clock, warm summer's night. I had a blue shirt on, like a blue check shirt, walking up there. All of a sudden, coppers just dive on me, wrestle me to the ground, handcuff me. I was just like, I can assure you now, you've got the wrong person. Pulled me up, sat me on those steps outside the museum. And then I was like, I don't know why. No, just like saying, you've got the wrong guy. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's not me. And then from around the corner, this woman, police officer, came walking around with a woman who'd like being attacked. She would all beat up and in a bad way. And they were like, right, we've got him. He's here. And she was just like, that's not him. I said, I told you it's not me. They literally just ran round the corner because she said, it's a guy with, I had hair at the time, very little, but a guy with like brown hair and a blue shirt. And I'm just walking up. They've just come round and just dived on me, wrestled me to the ground and arrested me. So I was arrested very briefly, but I was arrested. Last question from, we've got three more. Next question from Tommy. How are you all coping in this heat wave? How have you coped this past couple of days, guys?
As a ginger, I'm loving it.
Have you been negotiating the heat well, Cameron?
Well, obviously not if I'm banished to the conservatory.
Cameron's coming live from Tropical World, by the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's in a conservatory.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I've been all right. I've stayed in. I'm bald and, fair-skinned. I'm not made for this. So I've just stayed in and closed the windows and kept the blinds shut. And
I've been to Holland.
trying to keep the kids hydrated and cool. Next question's from Darren. Hi, I'm a Leeds fan from Essex. I managed to get to a few games a season. Here's a couple of questions for the panel. First, do you think there is any chance of Magic Weekend being moved to Wembley? Newcastle is a big favourite amongst fans, but do you think there could be any appetite for London, Cameron?
I can't say London. It's just too far for people, isn't it? I see an appetite for other stadiums, despite how good Newcastle is. It is well liked, and it ticks a lot of boxes, like being in the city centre, which is something the Etihad never had when it was there. I can see it moving somewhere else. The dream would be, being able to take it to somewhere like London or even abroad, because we'd have the fan base in that area. The truth is, at the moment in time, we don't have fans in these areas where we could take it and we'll get stuff like that. So until the game expands a little bit more, it's just not going to get that far.
How do you see it, Loz?
London, no, because there'll be too many people complaining about prices of everything.
There always isn't there?
Yeah.
How much?
I know. And as does it sound, Newcastle at the minute is pretty much the most perfect place to have it, I think.
Yeah.
Last weekend, I did the most stupid thing ever. I tested negative on Friday morning, and 8:30 on Friday night, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go to Newcastle tomorrow. So I booked an hotel, booked my train tickets, cost me an hour, and went up on Saturday morning. My train got cancelled. I had to jump on another train. That's no story. But obviously, Newcastle's amazing. If anybody who's never been to Newcastle, go. It's brilliant, especially for Magic Week. Yeah. So no, don't move.
The second question from Darren. Why do you think there are such inconsistencies in the team? 1 week we're good, 1 week we're bad. Toulouse are not a bad team, but we did have a few out. The inconsistency drives me mad. I think for this one, Darren, it was the injuries. You know, we didn't take the best or strongest side out there. Obviously, the strongest we had, but it has been a bit up and down. But it's been, you know, the fixtures really. And you know, we went to Saints, and they always beat us anyway. So that was a loss. And then even going into this one, I don't think many Rhinos were kind of confident we'd get anything from it. Do you think it is kind of a case of that, Cameron, of like just trying to get the full 17 out there as best we can?
I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I said after the defeat to Toulouse, it was a loss that summed up our season. Lots of injuries,
Yeah.
but also not being able to score points. Obviously, Rowan slightly changed that recently, but it was back to the old because it sounded like obviously I didn't won out the game, but it sounded like we had a lot of chances in the second half that we just didn't take. So it sounded like we were just back, you know, just a game that summed up our season. But I'd also say that I do not foresee us being a very consistent side for a number of years. Mainly because, and I think like we, as fans, we're just going to have to accept that. Do you know, the last 2 seasons, I'll put my hand up and say I was one of them. I thought, if we sign this player, we can start thinking about competing properly, especially after we won the Challenge Cup in 2020. I felt like, we might have had the right things in place. It turns out we didn't. And I just feel like we've got to accept that this is where we are and we can't have a quick fix because it'll blow up in his face. And we've just got to accept that.
It'll take time in it, to get there. Yeah.
We are going to, as long as it's, we kind of almost have to accept maybe we'll have to take a step back almost to move forward. Even if it means not making the playoffs this year or maybe even next year, we just got to bite the bullet and go, but the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's that there'll be a time where hopefully we're going, we've hardly lost any games this season, we've got silverware. Exactly. So
they were amazing.
So we've just as a fan base got to be patient and accept that's the current situation.
We've got to be patient and we need to accept we need to start cloning this golden generation.
Exactly.
The only way we're going to start winning again.
Yeah.
And we'll start with Danny Maguire.
7, 8, 9 mentions. No.
Yeah, off the scale this week. I've gone Maguire. I've gone Maguire mad. I've just
gone down the rabbit hole.
Gone down the you're right, Cameron. As soon as it starts, it's just there's no stopping it. I'm looking forward to Reese is going to buy a little bell, and every time it's just going to ring it like a little
Danny Maguire o'clock.
It could be a big hooter, shouldn't it? Like an air raid. Here he goes again. The last question, and gentlemen, thanks a lot as always. You are 2 of our regulars. Your content and everything you say is appreciated. Love your work, and you can come back whenever you want. It's a very important question to finish, to be honest. It's from Graham. He's been on the podcast before. I currently have a gas barbecue, so it's much easier and quicker to cook the food on. What does he say? A traditional barbecue, as in coal, briquette, or gas. You both got barbecues. Are you a gas man, or are you a legit coal? And important questions, you see. Why we're here.
I've yet to receive my barbecue license, really, because whenever it's a barbecue, if it's like my dad or my fiance's dad doing barbecue, I've yet to receive that.
Not got to that stage, you see. I think you've got to be at least 35 to kind of get your barbecue badge.
Exactly. What I can tell you is that every barbecue I seem to attend is, traditional. Then the cook always gets sunburnt as well, and they are good times. So
perfect season. Laurie, coal or gas?
I like to have a barbecue, so I'm a bit. But I did cook. I'm one of these friends that if I go to somebody's house, they'll go, "Do you want to do the barbecue for me?" And I'll be like, "Go on then." So I doing it, And I did
one time I want to cook in the sun with a beer in my hand.
I did that end of May when it was Challenge Cup weekend. I was at my friends in York, and she was like, can you do my barbecue?" I was like, "Yeah, go on then." But she had one of those weird ones, like not quite a drum, but there wouldn't like cold things in it. I think. And she just lit it. One little light, boom, and it went up straight away.
Gone.
And I was like, oh, okay. Quick lighting, and they were ready to cook. So, but I always think it depends on what you're putting on there to what you're using, I think.
I think I'm quite anal about this in that I don't think, to me, a gas barbecue is not a barbecue.
No, it's cheating. It's an oven. Yeah.
It's just an oven outside. So, it's pointless. And the taste as well.
It's different.
It is, isn't it? It's like flame licked. It's like, smoked from the charcoal. It's just so
Miles nicer.
It's 10 times. It's 10 times. To me, a barbecue is charcoal. Graham might disagree, but to me, that is like a legit barbecue. Barbecue, the burgers, the chicken, whatever you put on it, it has that unique taste. And I think that's what makes a barbecue. Otherwise, Laurie just said it. It's just an oven. You're just cooking outside. Just cook it inside. Yeah. Save the barbecue. Save the barbecue for the real barbecue. And surely as well, it's more about the practicality of it. Like Laurie said, being men, we love fire, don't we? Oh, fire, yes. So setting it on fire and
cooking,
poking it with a stick and messing about with it and creating that's the excitement of it. And everyone's saying, "Is it ready yet?" No, not yet. No, half an hour. It'll be ready. It's worth the wait rather than just like turning the gas on and it's there you go, it's food and it tastes the same as it's cooked on the oven. I'm like, no, barbecue legit every day.
Well, it's convinced me. I feel like there is only one way now to have a barbecue.
Honestly, it's honestly like anyone that's listening to this now, I may have picked up on something for them in that taste. You can just tell when especially like a burger, has been on coal and charcoal. It has that. Am I making sense? Is that unique?
Yeah.
Like flame grilled taste.
There's something about it. I think anyone who's listening now has gone, that's how you have a barbecue. It's just
exactly. That's a barbecue. And Laurie hit the nail on the head. A gas one is just an oven outside. So don't bother.
It's pointless. Yeah.
That was one of the most important questions I've ever been. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. And most importantly, thank you to you two for coming on and
anytime, mate.
Great work, as always. Predictions, I think we briefly touched on it, but are either of you expecting us to get something from Wigan Thursday?
A pie.
Yeah. If Wilson's doing a sponsor us, gentlemen, thanks a lot for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. And the next podcast, we will unfortunately, more than likely, be reviewing the loss to Wigan. Take care, you guys. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.